Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us today. I am excited to be joined by Rupam Jain with Frost, who will walk us through a whole discussion on meeting equity. It's going to be a really, really good discussion. I've been looking forward to this for a very long time. But I think before we get started, we'll just do some real quick introductions. My name is Jordan Owens. I am the Vice President of Architecture with Pexip. My responsibility is basically in charge of everything that falls under the purview of technology here in the Americas. Rupam, why don't you go ahead and give a quick introduction, and then we can just dive right in.
Thank you, Jordan. I'm Rupam Jain, Vice President of Research at Frost & Sullivan's Connected Work Practice, which is part of our ICT group. As an industry analyst, I have covered enterprise communications and collaboration technologies for 22 years now. And my specific coverage areas include real-time communications, including video and team collaboration.
Perfect. So, we're here today to talk about this idea of meeting equity. And meeting equity is one of these concepts that we didn't really think about 2 years ago, right? We didn't think about this whole idea of how do remote collaborators get experience the exact same way as in person. And we sort of got thrust into this conversation during the pandemic when we're all working remotely and we're all doing different things. So let's take a little bit of a step back, Rupam, and what is meeting equity? I mean, what is this thing and why do we care?
Yeah. So, you're right. I mean, meeting equity has come up as a hot topic, top of mind challenge for business leaders, for IT decision makers. Essentially, as you said, very much an outcome of the shifts that we have seen over the last year and a half, as we moved to remote work. And we saw that massive adoption of online video meetings. It leveled the playing field for all of us. And as users, when we get on those video meetings on a daily basis, we realize that we all have the same presence. We all have an equal voice when we are positioned side by side on the computer screen as equal-sized windows. We truly break those traditional hierarchies and remove all of those gaps that have traditionally existed in the organization. And it's actually more than video. The online meeting chat, for example, it gives all employees a chance to speak up, a chance to voice their thoughts. Even those who are, otherwise shy, maybe uncomfortable speaking up during large in-person meetings, they all have a platform now. So as we move forward, we know that hybrid work is here to stay. That's a given. And really, hybrid work means different things to different organizations, but we know that some component of remote work will be present going forward. And so hybrid work offers so many advantages, right? Cost savings, you have access to a global pool of talent, better business continuity, but there are some very, very big challenges looming ahead. And one of them is meeting equality. As some people return to the office, others work from home, we want to keep the same level playing field, but the bottom line is that remote users always feel shortchanged. So how can remote users be assured that they are not going to be overlooked, that proximity bias that comes in has to be avoided at all costs? And we know, right? We know that human behaviors are more skewed towards in-person interactions.
Yep.
But with hybrid, here to stay, the pre-COVID meeting rooms are simply not going to work. And without that right technology, remote participants who are joining those in-person meeting room meetings will always be at a disadvantage. So, there is a big focus on investing in the right technologies, driving better practices, business practices, meeting room design to create those inclusive and engaging meeting experiences. So, no one is really left behind, whether they are working from home, or on the road, or present physically in that meeting room.
Yeah, you bring up some really interesting points, and I think the most profound aspect of this is we often equate this idea of meeting equity to how do I see everybody face to face, and how do I make sure that the face to face interaction is there? But it's more than just face to face, right? It's also about the people that don't necessarily want to speak up. How do they still have interactivity? How do they still have their voice be heard? And how do they have their voice be heard at the same volume as those that are willing to speak up? Because this should not be a world that's dominated by those of us, speaking solely for myself, that like to talk and that tend to talk a lot. We should also introduce and involve people that would prefer not to be the center of attention, but still have some important things to say. And as we move back into the workplace, how do we keep those in mind? You know, I think we did a really good job of embracing that at home, whether it was we just allowed people to chat into a meeting or we followed up with email. We forced this idea of asynchronous collaboration in a much different way than we did when we were in the office. Now that we're coming back, how do we continue to maintain that? How do we continue to support that in different ways? And I don't know that everybody has it figured out yet. I mean, we're just now starting this return to the office, specifically in the US, where we had a false start this past summer, and now kind of people have reverted. Now they're coming back in. So it'll be interesting to see this evolve as things go forward.